Obama spent 8 years in office tearing our country apart. If it wasn't for him, America would not be facing such division. His disastrous policies set race relations back by at least 60 years. He may have never said it outright, but his actions prove he was no fan of whites even though he is biologically half Caucasian. Amazingly, new information is coming forward about Obama's ancestors, and if word gets out to the masses, it could spell disaster for him. Of course, the mainstream media will never report on this critical information about his family history, but fortunately, that's why we have the internet. Barack Hussein Obama's mother Stanley Ann Dunham was a devout member of the Communist Party and a rural anthropologist. She couldn't stand that her family background was Christian and also couldn't accept her own skin color. At the first chance she got, Stanley tried to distance herself from her heritage and married a Muslim man who would father Barack Hussein Obama. A bombshell report recently came forward confirming Obama's worst fears. His ancestors were actually slave owners. Imagine what people would say if they knew the truth about his family history. According to USA Politics Today, after a rocky marriage to the man from Kenya, Dunham married another man from Indonesia, who became Obama's stepfather. He was also a Muslim until he converted to Christianity and denounced communism. That was another breaking point for Dunham, who ended up leaving him and going back home to the U.S. In the meantime, she brought up her son with the same hatred for her own country and its horribly immoral and unjust roots. Barack Hussein Obama grows up in the land of Lincoln, schooled in the Chicago way, and weaned on the communist breast milk of Saul Alinsky. The chip on Obama's shoulder grew until a time when he knew that he must do one thing: destroy America from within. His policies were anti-white and his emphasis was on reparations for the descendants of slaves. Little did he know that his family held a dark secret: Obama's grandsires were slave owners, too. A genealogist at the Library of Congress discovered in 2008 that Barack Obama's ancestors owned slaves. The Chicago Tribune reported. Many people know that Democratic presidential candidate Barack Obama's father was from Kenya and his mother from Kansas. But an intriguing sliver of his family history has received almost no attention until now. It appears that forebears of his white mother owned slaves, according to genealogical research and census records. According to the research, one of Obama's great-great-great-great-grandfathers, George Washington Overall, owned 2 slaves who were recorded in the 1850 census in Nelson County, Kentucky. The same records show that one of Obama's great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers, Mary Duval, also owned 2 slaves. The Baltimore Sun retraced much of Riet Winter's work, using census information available on the website Ancestry.com and documents retrieved by the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, among other sources. The records show that Overall, then 30, owned a 15-year-old black female and a 25-year-old black male, while Mary Duval, his mother-in-law, owned a 60-year-old black man and a 58-year-old black woman. Now that all of the Democrat statues are being torn down in America by alt-left mobs, isn't it about time we erase slaver Obama from the public arena? It's not surprising that Barack Hussein Obama's mother's family were slave owners. They were wealthy. They were well-educated. And they were entitled. The fact that Dunham married a black man from Kenya was most likely a devastating blow to the Dunham family, considering their roots. I wonder if his mother knew about her family history and if it was any reason for her doing everything in her power to distance herself from it. Did she marry a black man to make amends for the fact that her family stood for everything she stood against? If this information ever went mainstream, it would throw liberals for a loop. After all, Obama is their savior, and if he has family ties to slavery, how would they be able to justify it? There is nothing better than seeing liberals find out the truth about their history when it turns out to be less than perfect. We cannot change the past and can only learn from our history to make life better for everyone. Unfortunately, liberals have only made things worse between whites and blacks. Please share this story everywhere so the truth can be revealed.